Context on this business that we found, they're running an OnlyFans management agency. They're essentially coming in and helping agency owners start an OnlyFans management business. This was the last 30 days of their business. And if anyone ever wants to kind of like sell really well, the best way you can do so is by auditing the business and selling based off of metrics and not necessarily sell based off of hope or dreams, or like, hey, yeah, if you buy this, we can potentially grow the business, or you're going to get rich. No, nobody's going to pay you tens of thousands of dollars because you're telling them that like, hey, if you buy this, you might potentially 10x your business. No, I mean, even all our partners in the incubator, everywhere, every single person needs to have an ROI calculator or something that calculates and finds the leaks within a business, the constraints, and use those constraints to sell the business. No more selling based off of emotions. So here's how we went through. So I was like, hey, what is your current price? He told me that it's 9.8K. Normally 9.8K for the type of offer that he's pushing, because he's still pushing like a coaching offer. I was like, yeah, this price is decent. Okay. Then the next thing I asked is like, hey, how much lead flow are you getting per month? He said 1,200 leads. I was like, okay, cool, perfect. And then I was like, hey, how many calls are being booked in the last 30 days? He said 82 calls. And then he says, how many of those did showed up? He said 39. And then I was like, hey, how many closed deals? He said 8. How much was cash collected? I said 46K. And then ad spend, he only spent $3,000 in ads in the last 30 days. And then sales team costs, this is appointment setters, sales team. I was like, okay, perfect. And then based on these numbers, I was like, where are the main leaks? As you guys can see, the first leak or the first constraint, we saw that it was lead to booked call rate. He is getting 7% of everyone who becomes a lead or who joins his school community to book a call. This is, I wouldn't say that it's like, if I look at it, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this is such a big constraint. No, but it's still in the red. If you're getting 10%, I think 10% to 15% is great, right? But 7%, we still put it in red, or at least the formula put it in red because it's below our KPI. Show rate is also a big problem. 45% of everyone who books a call shows up. And I believe they only have one call close. So they don't have a reason to have more than 50% of people to not show up. So that was a big constraint. Close rate was 21%. This is decent because of the price. There's this framework around deciding if you increase price or not increase price. And that framework is, if you're, let's say, selling something for $4,000 and you have 35% close rate, you're probably better off increasing price and reducing close rate, because, well, not better off, but like you need to find an equilibrium where the close rate is at a good point, where the price point is good enough where you make the most amount of money. If you increase price but your close rate drops to 10%, then it's a stupid decision, because you're losing a lot more deal flow because you're trying to make more money per client. And here at almost 10K, 20% close rate is amazing. It's like flush, it's perfect. So that's why this is in green. We prefer having a business doing 20% or more in the close rate. People always aim to be like, hey, let's close 30%. I'm like, yeah, that's good. But like, to close every stranger for 30% is insane. The amount of work you have to do up front. Okay. Average cash per close is 5.7K. That means that for every single deal that they're closing, they're collecting on average 5.7K, which is amazing. This is an insane metric. The amount of cash you get upfront is probably one of the single most important metric, because then he has 5.7K to go and reinvest in acquisition and acquire maybe, I mean, let's look at here, cost of acquisition per customer. So right now he's spending 1.7K to acquire someone who's going to spend 9.8K. If he's cash collecting 5.7K, that means that if you divide 5.7K divided by, let's say 2K, he can go acquire 2 to 3 more clients to essentially pay him this much without having to front any money from his pocket. This is an amazing business. Well, not an amazing business, but it's a healthy business. Average cash per call. We like to look at this metric too, because everyone just focuses on how much money they make for each client that they close. But we like to actually look at, for every single booked call that shows up, on average, how much money are you making? Cost per lead is $3. Now, this is actually the true cost of school registrations, which is, he's getting, I think, $3 to $4, which is insanely cheap. But we're going to talk about the actual problem here, right? Cost per booked call is $41, but this is actually more than that, because it's not just ad spend. He's spending on setters, and he's also getting calls from other places. And then cost per booked call that shows up, 93. Fulfillment cost, we also asked him, hey, how much are you spending on your entire backend? He said 8.4K. We're like, okay, cool. Any business that we're looking at, we like to look at gross margins that are, I believe, 70% and above. So if if the gross profit is less than 70%, gross profit or gross margins is when you take revenue, so the 9.8K, you subtract the cost to fulfill. So it would be like 787. Let's use on revenue, 78K minus this 8.4K, you actually get pretty good margins on gross profit. So this business is healthy and it's scalable. But we also like to look at contribution margin, which is revenue or cash minus the cost to acquire clients. In this case, this is still pretty healthy because it's around 25% that he's spending on CAC and everything.
This is NBL, my private group for superhero founders. Last Sunday, this community participated in something that has never been done before. I am building a business empire to scale it to $50,000 per month in just 30 days while documenting the entire process in 4 live calls, 1 call every Sunday. In this video, I went over the sales system that allows me to identify every constraint in my own or my clients' businesses so that you can incorporate this in your delivery process. The 3 previous calls showed 3-hour breakdowns of processes like offer creation, paid traffic, and client acquisition. If you want access to all the recorded calls from the challenge, click the link in the description to join NBL, and I will see you there.
Now, the most important leak we focused on was not this lead to call rate or even the show rate. What we first looked at was like, how much views are you getting on YouTube? He said 4,000. And then I was like, okay, cool. How much reach are you getting on Instagram? He said 400,000 accounts reached in the last 30 days. I was like, okay, so you're telling me that you're getting this much reach, but you're getting only 1,200 leads. I was like, something is broken in your business. You should be getting infinitely more lead flow in your business right now because you're getting way too much attention. And where's all that attention going to? How are we not collecting data? How are we not collecting leads that we can reach out to? The biggest constraint is he's not able to convert the level of traffic that he has into attention. So priority number 1, constraint number 1, we focus on is like, hey, we need more people giving you information, joining the school community. And then we're going to focus on lead to call rate. So the conversion from leads coming in, them booking. And then the next thing we're going to focus on is show rate. So how many people we actually get to show up. The way that we did it right now, we know that the business biggest constraint is the fact that you're not getting enough people to give you their information. So I was like, hey, if we didn't even change none of these other metrics and we just focused on increasing more leads in your business. So we took it from 1,200 leads to 3,000 leads and kept everything similar, kept the 7%, kept the 45% show rate, kept the close rate 20%. We would take the same business and get it to 225K cash collected and over 380K revenue. If we could improve it, maybe take the 7% to 10%, and then 45% show rate to 65% show rate. We could take the same, take this numbers here, get it to 3,000, which would end up being 300 sales calls a month. The show rate, we would take it from 45% to 65%, which is 195 calls that actually show up. And then from the same close rate, 20%, we close 39 clients times the average cash collected, which is 225,000, and times the revenue, which is 9.8K for each value of each client, it would be almost a $400,000 business, all because we just got more leads in the business. And he already has the leads. It's just that he's not giving them enough offers for them to opt in. Phase 1 is going to be, I need an asset for him. I need one of the best case studies that he has. And we're going to be building out a breakdown of this case study. The reason why we like to do breakdowns is because instead of going to people and trying to sell them something, how about you use someone who's actually going through the transformation and sell based on the case study, on the transformation. So we're going to do this, create a banger sales letter. Then we're going to look at the school landing page. He's already getting pretty cheap cost per lead. So that school landing page is dialed in my opinion, but we're going to look at it. Then every single week, we're actually going to be creating attention generating sales assets, which are like 2 steps. So 2 steps are something like this here. You essentially just do a 2-step on your profile, right? You create an asset, which is like an attention generating sales asset. I do these on Twitter often. And then the actual asset is maybe a YouTube breakdown. So this is the actual AGSA, so attention generating sales asset. So we're going to be creating these on behalf of the client every single week. Then we're going to be creating the actual sales letter or the piece of the sales asset on YouTube. Every time you create a good sales asset or good content on YouTube, you should always have something for people to download, because people are always going to be giving you their information in exchange of value. Even if the value is pretty clear in the training, people will be willing to put in a little bit of effort to get the, let's say, the Google Doc, because, or the Lucid chart, because even though they've understood, they still want to have like a summarized version of the thing, an easy to consume asset. So we're going to be doing this every single week. And then the last step we're going to be doing to increase lead flow is just go hard on ads. We're going to go top of funnel. We're going to go retargeting and actually get the 400,000 reach that he's getting to join his ecosystem. We start with the one really good case study, one really good sales letter. Then we look at the way that he's collecting data. Then we're going to work on something that is a little harder. Ads, we could do it first, but this here is what I'm really what I really love, because this is a little harder and it's a bit boring. It's a little annoying, which is why most people don't do it. And that's why most people don't ever create a good engaged audience. The next thing we're going to do is phase 2. We're going to solve the lead to booking rate. We're going to be pushing a promo, right? Like, hey, if you want to experience the same transformation as the case study, we're doing one-on-one. We'll design roadmap if you want our help in implementation, and we'll essentially do a promo and promo cycle with a specific offer. Then we'll also going to launch a VSL funnel. Right now, he doesn't have a single booking funnel. He's only getting people through school and his Instagram, and the setters are setting through there. But we're actually going to be launching a funnel so we can retarget his reach and get them to book a call with the same offer here. Setting process, we're going to audit the metrics for Instagram, setting, and all the other platforms. He has Telegram, School, Instagram, and maybe Twitter. And then we're going to look at response rate. We're going to look at qualification based on platform. And we're also going to look at booking rate based on the platform. Whichever platform is killing it the most, we're going to try to do more of that. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to assign each a setter per platform. Right now, he has only 2 setters who are working on Instagram, working in School, and working on Telegram. So they're sharing multiple platforms, and that is not good whatsoever. So we're actually going to be also doing assigning of platforms. Once we have dialed in the new campaign, the new ads, the new funnel, and the new process for setting, and maybe if he needs more talent, we're going to help him get talent. We're actually going to set targets based on where we're taking the business. So if we're taking the business to $200,000 a month in the next, I would say, 4 months, then we're going to reverse engineer $200,000 a month. What does that look like daily lead flow? What does that look like booking link sent? How does that look like with daily outreach? What does that mean booked calls daily? What does that mean book calls taken? How many close the deal every day? And then we're going to reinvest resources, capital, talent, everything, content to meet these targets. It's less about working hard and more so getting clarity as to, yes, you want to get to $100,000 per month, but do you know what needs to happen every single day from your machine, from your business, in order for you to get there? A lot of people are super emotional when it comes to growing a business. So they only focus on the fire that's going on, and they forget that business is not an emotional game. It's find something that's valuable and figure out the daily metrics to get it in front of enough people where enough people want to buy and enough people get value, and just keep that flywheel going. I'm sure even people who know somewhat the goals, the targets, they always forget and retreat back to just being emotional. And then every single week, we're just going to be focusing on auditing metrics. Look at, hey, what is out of KPI? What is in KPI? Then we're going to audit the conversations from the setters. Then we're going to, if it's out of KPI, then we're going to come up with another focus. When it comes to show up rate, it's going to be mainly solved on 3 fronts. There's going to be more pre-call assets. So we're going to create a series of valuable content and nurturing assets. Then we're going to have a pre-call systems. So we're going to look at the backend, see if there's any automations missing. If the flows are weird, we're going to audit that. We're also going to create a new workflow for the setters so that they essentially follow up with leads, make sure that group chats are created with the setter and the closer every time someone is set, all that good stuff. And if needed, we can introduce a phone, an SMS setter or triager to essentially increase show rate. And then we're also going to be looking at his sales script, the sales pitch, the sales deck, or the sales asset that he uses to pitch. And we're going to be auditing that, because right now he has no framework or no clear structure.